This morning, we rolled out of our campsite, parked here in a little city parking lot along the river in Donegal. Now, Donegal is a city that is famous for a very important historical document, the Annals of the Four Masters. Now, what this is back in the 16th century, from 1632 to 1639, four friars worked diligently to come up with all of the history of the country of Ireland, even though it might not have actually been considered the country of Ireland at the time, but of the territory. It went all the way back to the 300s and was current up to 1616. Now, this is an important document that historians rely on heavily. It covered political events, military campaigns, economic activity, social customs, religious affairs, and natural disasters. It literally is just one giant historical document that covers for the entire history of this territory. And it is very important, and it is definitely celebrated here in the town of Donegal. The abbey at the end of this driveway is actually where the friars wrote this very important document. So that is what's going on here in Donegal. We are not going to take you on a tour of the city other than driving you through the streets and showing you some of the pretty sights. There's also a famous castle here where a guy, I believe his name was Red or some sort, of an important clan who had a lot to do with that time period when the friars were writing those documents. But we are headed further out along the coast to see what we can get into, and we hope that we're going to be able to take you guys to see the tallest cliffs in all of Ireland, even taller than the cliffs of Moher. So let's go, guys.
Good morning, everyone. Today we had a short 50-minute scenic drive from the town of Donegal, winding through the Irish countryside, past small villages, and amongst the green checkerboard of small farms and pastures, on our way to Slieve Cliffs Visitor Center, where we are taking a bus tour up to the tallest cliffs of Ireland. Now, these cliffs rise over 600 meters above the Atlantic Ocean, and they are said to be very dramatic, with jagged edges and deep valleys, with beautiful blue water crashing on the rocky shore below. So we'll see. And we have arrived here at the parking lot of the Cliff Visitor Center, where we will be taking a bus tour up to the cliffs. And while we were waiting, we decided to head into the gift shop. Now, I'm not a big gift shop person, but we found these authentic Irish caps made locally here in Donegal by Hitman and made of 100% Donegal tweed. The truth is, once I saw these hats, I immediately knew I had to try one on. And as soon as I tried the hat on, I knew I had to buy it. Now, the problem was we couldn't find my size in the color I wanted. They had the blue or green one in my size on the rack, but I wanted the sort of black or gray one, and that one we couldn't find. But we had awesome help, and they were able to find my new hat in my color and in my size in the back room. Snow loved the hat, and obviously I did too. She was shocked I pulled the trigger so fast. But honestly, I can't ever remember smiling this big while buying an article of clothing. And now, let's go check out the tallest cliffs in all of Ireland.
We're doing things a bit differently today, guys. We have parked at the visitor center and we are taking the shuttle bus up to the
Welcome
top.
to this corner of the world.
Never mind.
As you look around here, if you came from an area where there's good land, you will not see any nice flat land here. It's hilly, poor land, but it's ideal for sheep grazing. So most families have some sheep. There is no point in asking them how many sheep they have. The answer is either going to be a few or a good few. They're not going to tell you what they have anyway. The main breed of sheep in this particular area are a Scottish black-faced mountain sheep. They're a hardy animal. They can stay on the mountain 24/7. Other breeds would have to be taken off for the winter months. The Scottish blackface makes several trips down round the houses. They are dipped or bathed at least twice, not too often. They're sheared in July. All the sheep have to be sheared in July. Then nature takes over. The wool grows fast enough to keep them warm in the winter, and then the growth slows down. Otherwise they'll be dragging the wool after themselves on the ground. They meet their boyfriend in October. Lambs are born early spring, April, May, and the lambs are with the mothers until about now, end of August, early September. And they're weaned off. they're weaned off, and then the stronger female ones are kept for breeding, and the rest go on a very long holiday. Donegal Bay, County Sligo directly across. Further down to our left, the coastline of County Mayo. Directly in front of us here is the Atlantic Ocean. Somewhere in the distance out there, there's a small island called the United States of America. We don't see it even on a good day. The entire area there is good for fishing, for mackerel, pollock, cod, ling, and there's lobster along the coastline. The name of this headland down here is Carrigan Head. There's a tower on there again. We'll see it on the way back down.
Look at your cool new hat.
You're like, just get it when you get back. I'm like, you kidding me? I gotta put that thing on.
Hill walkers go up here, they turn left and they walk all the way to the end of the peninsula, which is a 5.5 hour walk for the fast walkers, 6.5, 7 for the others. 60 yards long, starts off 2 yards, 2 meters wide, and many places gets down to half a meter. If you're ever up there, it's important to remember, if you're going to fall, it's better to fall to the right than the left. To the right you have Ireland. To the left they are Europe's highest sea cliffs, 1,972 feet or 600 meters. Where we park here we're 560 feet above sea level, 165 meters. Just around the corner there's a viewing point and you'll see 2 big rocks in the water called the Giant's Desk and Chair.
We did things a bit differently today. You'll have to bear with us if there's some wind noise. We're trying our best to block it. But we parked down at the visitor center. So we opted to stay at the lower parking lot and pay €7 a piece to take the ride up. I think it's well worth it because look at what we're showing you. The highest cliffs in Ireland, the highest sea cliffs in all of Europe. And I don't know if the camera's going to do it justice, but it is beautiful. Now for the extreme, which would sometimes mean Curt, but it doesn't today, you can walk up here to the top of that and along that ridge line. Now the bus driver told us that some places it's single file and can get as skinny as half a meter. It takes 5 to 6 hours to get all the way to the point down there. It would probably on a beautiful day be a really nice hike for Curt because the bus also comes to pick you up at the end of the day.
The thing is, you have to get back and you got to go down a long way. So not only would it be a lot of altitude, it's cold, a lot of wind, a lot of fog.
Bus, they come pick you up at the end of the day.
They pick you up here.
Oh, probably so. But before we got on the shuttle bus, we did a little shopping, which we don't normally do. And normally, guys, it would be me that was buying something. But I drug Curt over to the hat rack, and I made him try one on because I thought it was something that he would need. I never dreamed he would agree with me. But as soon as he put it on, he came out with it. Curt is sporting a wool Irish, legit hat. He is styling now, guys. All right, so let's take a few minutes to show you guys this beautiful place.
I'm gonna be honest, guys. I woke up this morning and for the first time in a long time, I was just tired, no energy, and sort of went through the motions on the drive until we got here. And to be honest with you, ever since we pulled into the visitor center, I've been jacked up, and it's because of the coolness of this place that we're going to today. And I can tell you, the bus ride up here was just amazing and really kind of too short. And the views up here as we climb up to this lookout are absolutely stunning. Look at that. Wow. It's absolutely incredible.
Curt is going to walk up to the point here behind us. Don't worry, he's not taking the long hike. He's just going to go up to the tallest peak there, get a few shots for us all to be able to see, and then come back down. I'm sitting on a nice, comfortable rock, but I will tell y'all that today we're in a fight against the weather. This morning we had some sunshine as we were leaving our camp, but by around noon, which is around now, it's supposed to be raining and clouding up, and you can definitely see the mist and the clouds rolling in. So it's another reason the shuttle was a really good idea for us. So I'm going to walk back down to where the little food court area is, because up here at the top there was a couple of coffee trucks and like some souvenir stands, and that's where me and Curt are going to meet back up. But I bet he makes it to the top before these clouds roll in too thick. It gives us some incredible views.
You can see snow down there. She's walking down towards the vans. It's cold up here, and so I wanted to scamper up just to this little peak right here, and I'm breathing hard because I've been getting up pretty fast, but we're kind of on this cobblestone stairway, and it's really nice up through the pasture land and along these cliffs, and it just offers really amazing views. And as we get up higher, you can see there's more of these giant boulders sticking out from the grass. So anyway, we're almost up to the top. Woo! So I can tell you, up top here is super, super windy and cold. And I brought my drone up here hoping, but there's no way I can fly it in this wind, and there's really no way I can vlog the beauty of this place with all this wind. But I'm gonna head back down, catch up with snow, and take that bus.
Now, I want you all to look down to your front right hand side now. You'll see the word ERA written in stone on the far bank there. The word ERA. E-I-R-E.
It's right over
we'll
here.
Pause here now, we'll see it.
And
And the number 71 is directly above it. Can you all see it?
Yep.
Everybody's got it. So, that dates back, that's there since 1942 for World War II. And the idea of that was to let the bomber planes or the pilots know that they were about to fly over Ireland, and they knew back then that Ireland was a neutral country. A neutral country. Now, the number 71 was one of 83 numbers scattered right round the Irish coast in a clockwise direction. We're number 71 here, up at the very top of Malin Head, which is the very top of Ireland. The most northerly point of Ireland is number 80. So, the pilot's up above, he sees the ERA sign, he sees the number 71, he opens up his map, he says, look at, here I am, number 71, top left hand corner of Ireland. He says, I'm flying over southwest Donegal. I'm in the north of Ireland, but I'm flying over southwest Donegal. If you look directly in front of you now, out the front windscreen here, you'll see two pieces of land jumping right out into the ocean. The first one is Mucker's Head. The second long one is St. John's Point. They're two long strips of land. So that's where the next two ERA signs are. That's where your next two signs are. Now, it's unfortunate today there's less than 30 of the signs left in Ireland today, due to, I suppose, back after the war was all over and things settled down. The farmers down the country especially, a lot of the signs were on private ground and on very good quality ground. So of course, naturally, they lifted all the stones out of their fields to make good of their fields again. So they didn't care much about it back then, or thought it might be a very valuable piece of history, but they were making good of their fields. And then other signs then in the likes of areas like this would be in very remote areas that may be way up on the side of a hill that nobody can see, and at this stage now they're all grown over. Now this lake on your left, front left here, is an old glaciated lake. You can see the path it took. It came down between the two humps there. It turned the corner here and went down the valley. But as it turned the corner, it ruptured a spring in the earth, which then led to the lake here. It's a spring water lake. There's 2 filter tanks there. That's our local water supply at home, and our taps at home. Now here on your right now, if you look, there's turf or peat. That's what we burn in the fires there now for the winter time. Peat and turf.
What's that made out of?
Well, mud. It's clay.
Okay.
You know, it's mud from the earth, but it's a type of mud.
Okay.
It's peaty mud. It's combustible, and it's made in the exact same form as sausages, to a degree. There's a blade that goes down into the earth. It takes up the mud and puts it through this. It squeezes it through this machine and out into about 7 or 8 pipes, in the exact same way that sausages is made. That just lies on the ground in the same strips as sausages, and then it dries into there's like a wee blade on it that nicks the turf every foot, and or 12 inches, and that's why they end up at this. They're all the same, roughly the same length then.
So do the farmers hire someone to do that?
Correct. There's a certain amount of people in the area, 2, 3, 4 people in the area that have these turf cut machines. So they around here now they would say, right, well, can I get an hour's turf cut or 2 hours turf cut? And yes, I understand, and you're probably maybe are aware that it's not supposed to happen anymore. The government's trying to stop us cutting turf, and that is going to happen. But as you're probably well aware, the older generation, our parents' generation, that's all they know.
We have decided that taking the shuttle bus up and down was definitely the best way to do this stop along the coast. When we came back down to the visitor center, we grabbed a quick sandwich so we can get on the road. Curt, what were your final thoughts on those giant cliffs?
Well, the cliffs all over in Ireland have been amazing, and this was the tallest and the grandest. But man, we have been impressed. I was telling Snow as we're walking back to the van, we have seen cliffs all over the world, and you just see these and you're like, wow, it's just always impressive. And this was well worth the short ride up there. It was so cool.
Now I think we're going to go see if we can find a place to camp on the beach, and it will be our last night sleeping on the coast in Ireland, because I think tomorrow, what are we going to do?
Well, tomorrow we're going to we're going to leave Ireland.
We're going to leave Ireland.
And but I'm distracted because I wanted you guys to see my new hat. What do you guys think of my new hat?
I love your new hat. Turn sideways, let's get a profile. Look at that thing. Look at that thing.
Good morning, everyone. I told y'all time is winding down here in Ireland, and it is winding down quickly. I don't know what it is, but whenever we get close to another country, Snow,
We gotta go.
we get itchy. We gotta speed up. So there were things on our list that aren't gonna make it, but we have just had a tremendous time in Ireland. Ireland, we love you.
Yeah,
And
it's a great country.
it's just really been nice on all the levels you can imagine, guys. But last night we had our sort of last night on the coast here in Ireland, and we had a lot of really windy weather and rain. We get little breaks in the weather, or the sun would come out. Fortunately, I was able to pop up the drone, and hopefully you guys are looking at some really cool footage of the beach right here. Unfortunately, we didn't get to have a beach day there,
600 meters,
but we are on the road.
252.
We are headed over to the border. We are going to Northern Ireland, so we've got a little drive, I think maybe about an hour through the countryside. Snow's getting some work in on this left-hand driving, but we are going to be back. We are going to be back in the UK, in Northern Ireland, and there's a really cool city up here that we're going to stop in with some really cool history. A road update. We've talked a lot about these roads here in Ireland. One thing I don't think we've really mentioned is how little like bumpy, topsy-turvy, roll back and forth from the right to the left. But these roads will toss you and keep you moving. It'll wake the kiddies up if you get going too fast on these things. You got to take it nice and easy. The road's smooth, the asphalt's good, but then all of a sudden you're just wobbling and rolling and dipping and up and down. So a little extra caution today, huh, Snow?
Yeah, we just went through a little mini roller coaster back there.
As you guys can see, the terrain has definitely changed. And our tour bus driver on the way up to the cliffs was telling us that that was going to happen, and that this area up here is not really farmable. It's more like that, what do they call it, Snow? Peat or marshy, boggy, kind of muddy. So it's good sheep ground. It's really good sheep ground, but they can't grow anything else on them. But they do cut that peat out, and he described the process where the tractor comes in and cuts it off and all that stuff. But we've seen evidence where they do that up here. So they come up and they take that, and some people burn it back down there to heat their homes. So fascinating coming through that territory. It's more like a steppe here. I guess it's kind of boggy. There's definitely more lakes around here. But as I say this, we're kind of coming into an area where there are some trees, but most of this area hasn't had any.
Another thing about this area is this,
in 300 meters,
on the map,
left to stay on
it's like a major highway, but it's just a little country road, which is normal up here in Ireland.
But I am noticing that the foliage, the leaves, the colors are starting to change a little bit, especially up in these higher altitudes. And it's getting close to the fall. And we're probably only a few weeks, 3, 4 maybe, I don't know, weeks before we get the full leaf color change. Now I think we'll probably be in Scotland by that time. We'll have to see. But definitely where these hills were green just a couple of weeks ago, we're starting to see some little light browning going on.
So as we're getting farther and farther north, if you remember when we went up in the tour bus up to see the tallest cliffs, the guide, and I told you a little bit about it too in case y'all couldn't hear the guide talking very well, but the hardier sheep, the little black-faced Scottish sheep, of course they're white mostly, but their faces are pitch black, and the males have horns, and you can see the older they get, they start to curve around. But those are the hardy ones that don't need to be maintained so much. These all white ones and the spotted ones and all the other kind, I think they have to bring them in when it starts to get too cold, bring them down to warmer ground, have them, little huddle up places to get warm. But as we get farther north, we are way farther north than anything in the United States except for Alaska. We're way up level with Canada, so it gets cold up here. And the terrain is rocky. It definitely looks a little more harsh. Reminds me a little bit of how Patagonia looked. We don't see any of those other sheep up here anymore. All we've seen so far this morning are the black-faced hardy sheep that have the curvy little horns. So I think we're up here where it'd probably be too hard to have the other sheep that need more taken care of. One of my favorite things about traveling in a van is that our kitchen is always with us. We just pull off on the side of the road. Curt whipped us up a tasty little wrap for a quick sandwich. And we're almost to the border. Oh, Curt has some potato chips too. What kind are those? Those are those bacon chips they have here, aren't they, Curt?
Mm-hmm.
Curt likes them too much to even tell you about them.
My mouth's full. All right, the wrap was delicious. We are back on the road, and we are kind of coming through more of like a farming country area. Yes, there's cattle, but there's also wheat and maybe some other crops as well that are grown up here. Now, it looks like Ireland has their own bread makers here, and maybe it's Irish wheat, and if it is, this probably comes from this region right here, I'm guessing. Also a lot of hay and other stuff, but we are getting really close to the border. And actually up here, we don't even think, from what we hear, we'll even necessarily know when we cross the border. So we could literally be in Northern Ireland. And with that, guys, we are gonna wind this video down.
The next time we see you, we'll be in Northern Ireland exploring a brand new little tiny country. So, we'll see you guys in a few days. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you guys know when we put out new videos. And don't forget, you can always follow us over on Instagram to see what's going on in between videos. Cheers, guys!